you can record a sound, and it's completely full of chaos and errors and mistakes. But then you repeat the sound and trigger it from a sampler, or play it out of backwards, and it just has quality to it that that means it doesn't sound like anything that's ever happened before. Well, it's Breton because there's a surrealist author called Breton, and he's a thinker and a writer and stuff. And he's like, you can do degrees and PhDs on the guy. He's a madly complicated and intelligent kind of 20th century thinker. But also you can read his stuff and it's really straightforward and simple. And it's about how if you try and do anything, if you try and write a song, paint a picture, make a blog, do an interview, do a podcast, you kind of try and come up with a pattern of how to do it because you're learning to do it, and then you do it 3 or 4 times and you make something effective, and then you trap yourself in this thing where you just, because you start it the same way, you end up with the same result every time. So you try and write a song in the same way, you end up with the same song. You try and write questions out, and you get trapped in this idea of things being one way. And surrealists had this amazing kind of theory that kind of that entrapment that you get in an idea is means that the end result will always be the same. Mm-hmm. So the best way of changing that is to start with complete chaos. So like if you're going to write a song, you should cut up bits of paper and write notes on it and take them at random. And at least then, once you've written 6 of them, the one that you choose is something that you had no control over. So it's perfect in a way, in the sense that you didn't force anything. If it's a good idea, it's a good idea. It's been a few things. It was a bank, so it was somewhere where people went to work, and therefore dull, tedious place. But it's also, it became a horrible squat where it was like really nasty and probably a very sad place. And then it became taken over by this housing company that decorated it and tried to get people in to live there. And then it became our place where we just moved all our stuff in. We moved our photography stuff, our video making stuff, our PA system, our drum kit, and we made it like a laboratory to try out ideas and kind of try and crash together everything we'd done and make sure that it wasn't just like a hobby. Like you didn't just go to work and then go to your friend's house and then spend an hour making music. You woke up and you made music for like 8 hours a day, and there was a place to sleep and a place to eat, and you really try and test it to the point of destruction. If someone like me, if I wanted to get a job, I wouldn't really be able to get a normal job. So it's not an option, and having that option removed is kind of liberating, because I'd be just as poor if I was trying to get a job and trying to temp. I'd just be much more unhappy. And instead, I don't have a car, I don't have overheads, we pay very little money for rent and food and stuff, so we could just put everything into the band. The reason we signed with them and not the majors is it was made clear when we spoke to some of the majors after we put out the Blanket Rule EP, and they said, "Oh, you put out an EP for free, you gave away music for free." And our manager was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "We'd never let you do that." So that was why we were just like, actually fuck all the major label stuff. Like, if they do, they don't understand where music is now, how people enjoy it in a different way. When you ask what should they expect, I guess it just depends on where we are. Like, we'll adapt to it. Like tonight we're playing in a different room to where we played last night, and the crowd will be different and the feel of it will be different and the sound will be different. I think that's what you could expect, is just not what we played yesterday. It'll just be different. How did you come up with the name?
That's exactly the first question I mean.
When you're writing other people's problems, what did you start with? Did you start with the films or did you start with the music?
Oh, fuck.